Hello and welcome to History in Facts, where we discover facts about days through the year. Please remember to like the video, comment, and subscribe. Today we are looking at August 25th through the years. August 25th is full of interesting facts, and here are 7 of them. To start, here are some events associated with the day. National Whiskey Sour Day, National Second-Hand Wardrobe Day, National Heroes Day in the Philippines. This year in the UK, August 25th hosts the Gravy Wrestling Championship. Yes, it's real, a messy, hilarious event where competitors wrestle in gravy for charity. Well, that is it for the national days for now. So, let's dive in with Number 1, the first European visit to Japan. In 1543, Portuguese traders Antonio da Mota, Francisco Zimodo, and possibly Antonio Peixoto found themselves shipwrecked on Tanegashima, a small island in southern Japan. Their unintended arrival marked the first known European contact with Japan, a culture advanced, isolated, and utterly unfamiliar to them. These men weren't explorers in the traditional sense. They were aboard a Chinese junk, a traditional vessel headed for trade in Southeast Asia when nature took control. Blown off course, they landed on Tanegashima on August 25th, where locals greeted them with curiosity. What changed history wasn't just their presence, it was what they brought: matchlock firearms. The Japanese had never seen such weapons, and local Lord Tanegashima Tokataka quickly purchased 2. The Portuguese taught gunsmiths how to reproduce them, and before long, these Tanegashima guns became a staple of samurai warfare, reshaping Japanese military tactics for decades. Their arrival sparked a century of Nanban trade, with Portugal sending ships, missionaries, and merchants. Japan, for the first time, engaged in cross-cultural exchange beyond China and Korea, all because of a storm and a few intrepid traders. Number 2, Galileo presents his new toy. Galileo Galilei stood atop the bell tower of St. Mark's Basilica in Venice 1609, telescope in hand. Before him were the city's lawmakers, including Doge Leonardo Donato, gathered to witness a marvel that promised both military advantage and cosmic revelation. Galileo hadn't invented the telescope. Dutch craftsmen Hans Lippershey and/or Jacob Metius had done that a year earlier, but he refined it, boosting its magnification and clarity. His version could make distant ships appear close, a tempting tool for Venice's naval defense. But Galileo saw more than strategy. He saw stars, moons, and planets waiting to be understood. The demonstration was a triumph. The Venetian Senate was so impressed, they doubled his salary and granted him a lifetime professorship at the University of Padua. But Galileo's ambitions reached far beyond paychecks. Within months, he turned his telescope skyward and published Sidereus Nuncius, the starry messenger, revealing that Jupiter had moons, the moon had mountains, and Venus had phases, all evidence that Earth was not the center of the universe. Number 3, New Orleans is founded. In 1718, Jean-Baptiste Le Moyne de Bienville, a seasoned explorer and colonial governor, founded La Nouvelle-Orléans, New Orleans, on a crescent-shaped stretch of high ground along the Mississippi. The site wasn't chosen for beauty, but for strategy. It offered natural levees, access to Lake Pontchartrain, and control over inland trade routes. Bienville named the city in honor of Philippe II, Duke of Orléans, the regent of France. With just 50 men, he began clearing the dense vegetation, laying out a grid of streets that would become the French Quarter, a plan still visible today. The early settlement was rough, wooden huts, mosquitoes, and floods. But it grew quickly, thanks to its location and the ambitions of France's colonial enterprise. By 1722, New Orleans replaced Biloxi as the capital of French Louisiana, cementing its role as a hub of trade, culture, and colonial power. New Orleans came from swampy beginnings to a city of jazz and jambalaya. Number 4, profiling the pathogen. Japanese physician Shibasaburo Kitasato arrived in Hong Kong 1894, during a deadly outbreak of the bubonic plague. Panic was rising. Sent by the Japanese government, Kitasato set up a makeshift lab and began his investigation. Within days, he isolated a bacterium from the blood of infected patients, the culprit behind the plague. It was a breakthrough, the first time the plague bacillus had been identified in a human outbreak. Though French scientist Alexandre Yersin made a similar discovery just days later, Kitasato's work was independent and simultaneous, earning him recognition as a co-discoverer of Yersinia pestis. His methods weren't perfect, some samples were contaminated, and early reports were vague, but later analysis confirmed that Kitasato had indeed isolated and studied the plague bacterium. This discovery didn't just solve a mystery. It laid the groundwork for modern plague diagnosis, containment strategies, and the rise of bacteriology as a global science. Kitasato went on to found Japan's first infectious disease institute and helped pioneer serum therapies for tetanus and diphtheria. Number 5. The first daily commercial flight. On August 25, 1919, a small company called Air Transport and Travel Limited, AT&T, launched the world's first daily international passenger air service, from London to Paris. The aircraft, a converted Airco DH.4A, took off from Hounslow Heath Aerodrome, just a mile from today's Heathrow, and landed at Le Bourget Airport in Paris. The flight carried one passenger, a BBC reporter, along with mail, newspapers, and gourmet cargo, including jam and grouse. The pilot sat in an open cockpit, exposed to the elements, while the passenger rode in a modest enclosed cabin. No in-flight snacks, no reclining seats, just goggles, grit, and a sense of adventure. This wasn't just a novelty. It was a proof of concept that air travel could be regular, reliable, and international. The success of AT&T's service laid the groundwork for what would eventually become British Airways, and marked the beginning of commercial aviation as we know it. Number 6. Instant ramen ready. In 1958, in a small shed behind his house in Osaka, Momofuku Ando was trying to solve a problem that plagued post-war Japan: how to make a hot, nutritious meal quickly and affordably. Food shortages were still a reality, and Ando believed that simple, accessible meals could make a real difference. After months of trial and error, frying, drying, tweaking, he invented something that had never been seen before: flash-fried, pre-seasoned noodles that could be rehydrated in minutes. He called it chicken ramen, and it was the world's first packaged instant noodle. Just boiling water, 2 minutes, and dinner was served. At launch, it cost 6 times more than fresh noodles. That might sound outrageous, but the convenience was revolutionary. No refrigeration, no preparation, just a meal that could sit in the cupboard, waiting until you needed it most. This wasn't just food, it was a new concept. Meals on demand. Instant comfort. And it spread fast. From student dorms to disaster zones, from local tables to international shelves, Ando's invention became a global staple. And decades later, he'd even send noodles into space. It all began with one man, one idea, and one bowl of ramen. Not bad for a backyard invention. Number 7. Going interstellar. After 35 years of travel through space in 2012, NASA's Voyager 1 did something no human-made object had ever done. It left the solar system. Launched in 1977, Voyager 1 had already flown past Jupiter and Saturn, sending back stunning images and data. But its real legacy began long after the planetary tour ended. On August 25, it crossed the heliopause, the invisible boundary where the sun's influence fades and interstellar space begins. This wasn't a dramatic leap, but a quiet shift. Scientists noticed a sudden spike in cosmic ray density and a drop in solar particles. That's how they knew Voyager 1 was out. It was 11 billion miles from Earth. Signals took over 17 hours to reach us. And yet, it kept talking, measuring magnetic fields, plasma waves, and the texture of space itself. Voyager 1 didn't just break records. It redefined the edge of our neighborhood. And it carried with it a golden record: music, greetings, and images from Earth, just in case someone out there is listening. Not bad for a spacecraft powered by plutonium pellets in 1970s tech. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed your visit to History and Facts. If you did enjoy the video, or find it interesting, we have many more coming. So please like, comment, and subscribe to be notified when we release a new video. See you next time.